Daf Yomi, tractate Bava Batra, page 57b. Top of the page, actually it's coming from Ella Amar of Nachman Amar Rabba Bar Avu on the previous page. Now top of the page, with the words Hacha B'chatzar Hashutafin Askinan. Hacha B'chatzar Hashutafin Askinan. Here we are dealing with a courtyard belonging to partners. Div Hamada Kedi Lo Kavdi Amchitza Kavdi, where they are not particular with regard to the mere placing of items in the courtyard, but are particular with regard to the construction of a partition. The presumption of ownership is established only where the lack of a protest indicates that the prior owner concedes that the property is no longer his. The co-owner's silence in the face of his partner using the courtyard for a temporary purpose does not indicate a concession, but silence in the face of one who constructed a partition is a concession. Uhamado kadi lo kavdi. The Gemara asks, are they not particular with regard to the mere placing of items? The Hatnan, we learned, Hashut fin shigadru hana zemizeh, shinadru, not shigadru, shinadru. Hashut fin shinadru hana zemizeh, asuran likhanes lachatzer. But didn't we learn in the Mishnah in Darim 45b, partners who through vows prohibited themselves from deriving benefit from one another are forbidden to enter into a courtyard jointly owned by them, since each has a portion in it, and it would be considered a violation of one's vow if one were to benefit from any part of the other's property. This indicates that partners are particular even with regard to passage through the field. All the more so are they particular with regard to placing animals or vessels in the field. Ela Amar Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Bar Avu. Rav Nachman said, Ela Amar Rav Nachman Rav Hacha B'Rachava and Shalachori B'Atim Askinan Devamada Kedei Lo Kavdi Amchitza Kavdi. Rav Nachman said that Rabba Bar Avu said, here we are dealing with it. A fenced-in yard located behind a group of houses that is used to store items not in particular use, where they are not particular with regard to the mere placing of items, but are particular with regard to the construction of a partition. Rav Papa Amar, Rav Papa says, Idi v'chatzar shutfin, v'ika dekavdi, v'ika lo kavdi, abimona k'lekula, k'avisur l'chumra. Rav Papa said this and that. In other words, the rulings of the Mishnah and tracting the Dharma as well as the rulings of the Mishnah here are stated with regard to a courtyard belonging to partners, and the reason for the difference in the rulings is that there are those who are particular with regard to the other partner placing items in or passing through the courtyard, and there are those who are not particular. Therefore, in the Mishnah here, which issues a ruling concerning monetary matters, the halacha is to be lenient, and it is assumed that the partner is not particular about placing items in the courtyard, and the presumption of ownership is established in the Mishnah in Tractate Darim, which issues a ruling concerning ritual matters. The halacha is to be stringent to prevent one from violating a vow. Ravina Amar, Ravina says, Le'olam lo kapti. Actually, partners are not particular. V'hamani Rabbi Eliezer. And in accordance with whose opinion is this Mishnah in Tractate Darim? Is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. The Tanya, as it is taught in Brisa, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Afilu v'tur asur mimudar hana. Rabbi Eliezer says even negligible benefits ordinarily waived are forbidden in the case of one prohibited by a vow from deriving benefit from another. In other words, one prohibited by a vow may not derive any benefit from the other, even if even a benefit that people completely are not particular about and allow others to enjoy without first receiving permission. Therefore, although people are ordinarily not particular about others passing through their property, according to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, one who is prohibited by a vow from deriving benefit from his partner is prohibited from walking on the property. Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Benah B'chol hashufin makin zeh v'zeh chutz min hakvitza she'ein darkel shel benos Yisrael lizvazos al hakvitza. Rabbi Yochanan says, in the name of Rabbi Benah, partners may prevent each other from using their courtyard for any purpose except for washing laundry. This is because it is not the way of Jewish women to be degraded over washing laundry by laundering their clothing in a public area. Therefore, they must be allowed to launder in the courtyard. Ve'otzem einav meros b'ra. In connection with the matter of laundry being washed in public, the Gemara quotes the homiletic interpretation of a verse: "He that walks righteously and speaks uprightly, he that despises the gain of oppressions, that shakes his hands from holding of bribes, that stops his ears from the hearing of blood, and shuts his eyes from looking upon evil." Isaiah 33:15. Rabbi Chia bar Abba says this is referring to one who does not gaze at women while they are standing over the laundry, as it was common for them to stand in the water and raise the hems of their garments while laundering their clothing. Okay. Hechidami. The Gemara clarifies, who's the dummy? No, just kidding. Hechidami, what are the circumstances? If is referring to a case, I de ika darka achrita, Rashahu, I de leka darka achrita anusu, leolam de leka darka achrita, afilu hachi, viboyle limines nashe. What are the circumstances? If it's referring to a case where there's another way by which the one walking could reach his destination than the one who walks past the women, and consequently is placing himself in a situation where he will be tempted to gaze at them, is wicked. Alternatively, if it is referring to a case where there is no other way by which he can reach his destination, then he is a victim of circumstance. So why is he required to shut his eyes? The Gemara explains, actually, it's referring to a case where there is no other way by which he can reach his destination, and even so he's required to compel himself to avoid gazing at the women. Or gazing at the woman. Boy, me Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Benah, me Rabbi Chaluk shel Talmud Chacham Ketzad, she'ein v'asara nireh mitachtov. Tal shel Talmud Chacham Ketzad, kol she'ein chaluko nireh mitachtov. Tavach shulchan shel Chacham Ketzad. Shni shlishi gedil, ushlish galai, ve'alav karos v'yarek, v'tabato mibachutz. Okay, the Gemara quotes additional matters that Rabbi Yochanan learned from Rabbi Benah. Rabbi Yochanan asked Rabbi Benah, how should the garment of a Torah scholar be worn under his clothes be fashioned? How should his undergarments be fashioned? He replied, he can wear any garment long enough that his flesh is not visible from beneath it. Rabbi Yochanan asked, how should the cloak of a Torah scholar be fashioned? He replied, he can wear any garment as long as the handbreadth of his garment worn under his clothes is not visible from beneath it. Rabbi Yochanan asked, how should the table of a Torah scholar appear? He replied, 2/3 of the table is covered with a cloth, 1/3 is uncovered, and upon the third are dishes and vegetables. And its ring used to hang the table should be positioned to the outside, not at the side that faces the one who is eating. Okay. Bahatanya. Tabato Vifnim Velokashya. Hadaiki Yanoka. Hazaleki Yanoka. The Gemara asks, but isn't it taught in the Braita that its ring should be positioned on the inside? The Gemara answers, this is not difficult. This Braita, which states that its ring should be positioned on the outside, is referring to a case where the child who may play with the ring and overturn the table, while that Braita, which states that its ring should be positioned on the inside, is referring to a case where there is no child present. The e-boy same, if you wish to say. If you wish, instead, both this and that refer to a case where there is no child present, and there is no difficulty. This Braita, which states that its ring should be positioned on the inside, is referring to a case where the attendant may pump into the ring, while that Braita, which states that its ring should be positioned on the outside, is referring to a case where there is no attendance. If you wish to say instead that both this and that refer to a case where there's an attendance, and this is not difficult. This Braita, which states that its ring should be positioned on the outside, is referring to when the meal is eaten during the day, when the attendant can see the ring and avoid it. While that Braita, which states that its ring should be positioned on the inside, is referring to when the meal is eaten during the night. And the Gemara continues, all the above is referring to a table of the Torah scholar, but the table of in readiness is to be continued.